So on this week's episode of Be More Super, this week's guest has got to be one of the coolest guests I've had on to date. You can see him working on Ghost of Mars, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, Man of Steel, Thor, and most recently you can see him rocking it as the awesome Zeus in Army of the Dead. It's Richard Cetrone. Richard, welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, Brian. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And I've got to say, how is everything where you are with the pandemic? Is everything okay? I normally do a check-in with the guests to see how things are where they are.
Yeah, things are good. California opened up completely June 15th. So we don't have to wear masks anymore. So that's nice. I think the
Awesome.
film industry still has their own standards. And I think they're still using masks. But as far as, shopping, going anywhere in California, we don't have to wear masks anymore. So that's really nice.
Wow. Do you know what? I can't wait for the day where it's like that here because I wear a mask every day for work, and wearing a mask for 14 hours a day is not nice. It really isn't. But everything's going well. Vaccinations, and I'm sure we'll soon see the back of this horrid virus. But I'm glad that everything's getting back to work. Productions are happening and producing some awesome things like Army of the Dead.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. It's nice to see things are headed in that direction.
So let's talk about Army of the Dead because this movie has absolutely stormed Netflix. I think it's been number one worldwide. It's been one of the biggest opening films that they've had in the first 4 weeks. What's it like being part of such a global smash straight out of the gate?
It's pretty cool. I've looked at this year as kind of Zack's year. Director Zack Snyder.
Definitely.
I mean, he's the his Justice League movie was a big hit, and it was really nice to see that. And then this has been a pretty big hit, so it's been really nice. I'm really happy for Zack.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, I know he had a rough ride with the studios and obviously just Justice League, and the fans fought for the Snyder cut, and we got it. But yeah, definitely with Army of the Dead, it's literally the cherry on the top, as they say. So you play Zeus, the main, alpha zombie. I've got to say, what an awesome part to play. It really is. How did the part come about for you? Because you've worked with Zach quite a lot. Did you have to, I don't know, audition, or were you approached to actually play Zeus?
Yeah, I've actually worked on every one of Zack's live action films. So he's we're friends, and he knows my capabilities. So he just called me one day and said, "Hey, I have this zombie movie coming up, and I have a part of this character that leads the zombies, and I think you'd be great for it. Do you want to do it?" Of course, I said, "Yeah, definitely." So it went from there, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. The whole process was a lot of fun. Working with Zach is always the best, and this was nice because we got back to like business as usual. Or, Justice League was a little rough to do because of
Mhm.
all the stuff that was happening, but this had that same old feeling again. Working with Zach, and it was really cool. I was really grateful that he gave me the opportunity, and of course, wanted to do my best for him.
And who's going to say no to Zach? I mean, the thing is, I had Samantha Wynn on the show a couple of weeks back, and she's worked with him quite a lot, and she's always said that if Zach rings, she's going to say yes. So I presume that's going to be the same with you. Whatever he wants to do, you're going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great director. It's fun to work with. His sets are always just a joy to be on. And
Mm.
everybody. It's like a family because a lot of us have been with him a long time, and so it's always my best and most fun work experience.
I've got to say, one of your posts on Instagram did make me chuckle a bit because you mentioned the fact of getting Zeus and you being in shape the best shape of your life, and then they stick all these prosthetics all over you. I don't know if you remember that post that you put out.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about the role of Zeus, what process did you take to get into the character? Because you can't really relate to being a zombie, I suppose. So what was the process of getting into that character of Zeus?
Well, I wanted to, Zach and I, we always meet whenever I do something for him like this, where I'm doing a bit of acting. We always meet before we start shooting, and I just want to get exactly what his feelings are on the character, and what his feelings are on what the character wants, and the backstory of the character. So I remember something he told me was this movie, the success of this movie is kind of a lot of it is going to depend on, can people empathize with Zeus? Can the audience
Mm.
empathize with the character? So I always had it in the back of my mind, and I used that a lot when I was making my choices for the character in each particular scene. And I just always felt like, little by he still has some of his humanity left. And I think that, little by little, more of it was coming out, and depending on the situations, you see more of Zeus's humanity. There's still some left in him. He's not 100% animalistic, like maybe
Mm.
the other alphas, the ones that I create are, you know. So I just really tried to find moments in there where I could show that, and kind of went from there. I definitely didn't want the character to be, this average zombie that you see in every movie, because he wasn't. He's not. He's
Mm.
different. And I wanted to make sure that that came out and the audience was aware of that.
Mm. And then when you talk about obviously having empathy, people often forget that the villains in these shows, for example, Zod in Man of Steel, if you flip it upside down, actually Zod could be seen as a hero as well, and
Mm-hmm.
because obviously he's trying to maintain his people, the Kryptonians, and I suppose with Zeus, you sort of can feel for him because all he's trying to do is survive and have a family and have a pack, and especially the scene with the baby is
Mm-hmm.
quite sad, to be honest. I mean, but what an awesome character. I mean, how much freedom did you have in what you wanted to put in, opposed to what Zach wanted you to do?
Yeah. Well, Zach gave me a lot of freedom. I was kind of always looking towards the humanity aspect, and he was always reminding me the animalistic aspect. So he kept me in check throughout the movie, and I think it worked out really well, because I think there's just enough in there that people can see, that this character does have some humanity in him left, and I think it's a nice blend, and I think it worked out really well. But he gave me a lot of leeway in what I wanted to do with the character, which is always really nice.
Mm. I mean, as a stunt performer, it's got to be quite nice to actually take on a job where you are testing your acting ability a bit more, because people can see your face. It may be under prosthetics, a bit like Ghost of Mars, which is an absolutely awesome movie, where we get to see you as Big Daddy Mars. How challenging was that for you to go from a stunt performer's, sort of bracket, I suppose, into more the acting?
Well, it wasn't too challenging. I mean, really, because I prepared for it. Um, I When I moved to California, first thing I did, trying to get into stunts and stuff, is I realized that I need to be able to act, because it'll open up more doors for me,
Hmm.
and it'll help my performance as a stunt performer that much more. And I really recommend that any stunt performers out there that are aspiring to be in the industry, that they should take acting classes, because it does. It actually really helps your performance, even in stunts. Because even when you're doing stunts, quite often you are acting.
Hmm.
So I took 6 years of acting classes at a couple different studios in Los Angeles. So I feel pretty confident, when I get lines or when I get a role, or, as long as I do the homework, and I put in enough hours on it, I'll feel good the day that we're shooting.
Mm,
I think in anything, if you don't put the time in, you don't put the work in, you don't feel confident about it, right? But if
mm,
you put the time in and you put the work in, then I think you feel pretty confident on set. And I had great actors around me as well. Amari Hardwick is just a fantastic actor. We had scenes
mm,
together. He's a really giving actor, really unselfish, um, and he really he just helped my character so much. Zeus is a better character in that movie because of Omari. He really he's all about what's best for the scene. He leaves any ego he might have at the door, and whatever is best for the scene and best for the movie, Omari's going to do it. And he really definitely had a lot to do with that character, coming across the way he did.
mm. I mean, another thing I wanted to ask you, because obviously you've worked on quite a few of, well, all of Zack's live action projects. Going from, say, studio work to Netflix, did you feel a difference in the sort of the way things were done because this is for Netflix opposed to being for Warner Brothers?
No, not at all. It's still the same process. The big
Mm,
difference you see is when you go from film to TV.
mm,
TV is just go 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 go. And I kind of like that too. Because the day just flies. It's fun. You're always busy. You're always doing something because they're moving from shot to shot so quickly. And then movies has more of a slower pace to it. So even though it's for a streaming service, the whole process of movie making was the
mm.
same.
I mean, in true Snyder fashion, I'm sure that he filmed a hell of a lot more than what we saw on screen. So maybe down the line we can have a director's cut of Army of the Dead, a bit like the Justice League. Was there any shots that you did that didn't make it to the screen that you wish did?
Yeah, funny you should say that. Yeah, it's my biggest fight scene in the movie didn't make it. Um,
Oh,
and
what?
it's a cool fight. And I know I'm sure Zach was bummed that he wasn't able to use it because he loves action, and Zach's not one to
Mm,
cut action. So there's a really good reason if Zach has to cut action. But it's a cool fight. It's definitely my biggest fight, and and it has a nice showdown with Omari at the end of the fight, which kind of sets up our showdown at the end of the movie.
mm.
So it's a really cool moment, and I think there's a chance it might make it in one of the sequels, like as a flashback. I think that's a
Awesome.
possibility. So I hope so, but that would definitely be the one for me. That I was a little disappointed, but I understood. It happens. Whatever's best for the movie and whatever's going to help the movie. That's what we're going to use. So it just didn't make it.
It must be so gutting to go through all that work and that preparation and for scenes to be cut. But I suppose it happens in the majority of films. Um, but I've got a question here from Dan Hayes from Bleeding Marvelous, which is an awesome company that she owns. Is it true that Army of the Dead was written as a trilogy by Snyder, and then the next installment could be a prequel? And would you come back to play Human Zeus, giving him a backstory?
Well, I think the prequel has been shot, and Zach decided to make that an animated movie.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I had nothing to do with the animated movie, but I don't think there's plans to make a live action prequel. I do believe there is plans to make at least one sequel and possibly more live action sequels. So I think part of that is pretty accurate.
Do you know what? It would be absolutely silly if they didn't make a sequel because it's number one worldwide. So I'm sure Netflix will definitely jump on that. Do you think we'll ever see Zeus again?
I don't know. If you look at the ending of the movie, it doesn't look like you will. But I mean, anything's possible. You know, um, you know, in comic books and films and science fiction films, they can explain almost anything, right? So
Yeah.
it's always a possibility, but I would say probably odds are against it. I think he's probably had his time, but we'll
Mm.
see.
And what was your favourite, memory of working on that production with that?
I've had a lot of them. One of my favorite ones was the scene that I had when I come in and check on my queen, and then I changed Theo Rossi into an alpha. I really enjoyed that scene. Athena Parampil, who plays my queen, was fantastic in it, and Theo Rossi was amazing in it. He
Mm,
just he was just great, and I thought we did some really cool stuff together. That probably would be my favorite.
mm, It's a very, very good scene, and fingers crossed. I'm talking to Athena at the moment, so I'm going to try and get her on the show at the weekend because I
Oh,
know she's busy all week. So not only can I get Zeus on the show, I can get his queen as well. So it'll be a double whammy. So while I've got you on, it'd be silly not to talk about Batman because for me, I am one of the biggest Superman fans around, and also Batman. And I've got to say, for me, Michael Keaton's Batman will always be. I think it's because of my age, and I'm really excited with the new Flash movie. But I've got to say, the Zack Snyder's vision of Batman is so cool. I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, if I had to wear a costume, it would be Ben Affleck and yours, costume from Batman versus Superman. So again, how did you get the role as Batman? Because again, is it a case of they knew what you were capable of and you got a phone call?
yeah, pretty much. Well, my one of my close friends and longtime training partner in martial arts is Zach's stunt coordinator and second unit director. So, of course, he thought of me as performing as Ben's stunt double, but I still had to go through auditions because my friend is, he's a true professional, and he's like, hey, I would love it if you get this, but he goes, I gotta, you're older now too, so I got to look at a bunch of young guys, and I got to look at, so he had me audition against I don't know how many, a handful of guys, and then came back for a second audition, just doing fight choreography and stuff like that. And then he contacted me. He said, "Yeah," he goes, "You got it." He goes, "You." I was really happy, to see that you were the best one in the audition. So I was really happy to give you the job. So that was a big job for me because that was like it's my dream job, really.
Mm,
I've wanted Batman's been my favorite comic book character since I was a kid, and I was really big into Batman my whole life, and I've always collected the graphic novels, and when I was a kid, the comic books, and watched the TV shows. Adam West, was my first Batman,
mm,
and the animated movies. I get all the anime. I mean, I'm a big Batman fan, so you can imagine for me personally, it was a dream job, and I just looked at every minute of that job was just like amazing for me. And I really considered when I had that job, I looked at it like for that 9 or 10 months that I worked on that job, I had the best job in the world. Like I would rather be
mm,
doing that than anything else in the world, So I was really excited. I was really fortunate to be able to do that. And I was put in a perfect storm situation, because I got the audition because my close friend was a stunt coordinator. Um, he put amazing people around me to interact with in the fights. They're fantastic stunt performers. Zach Zach is good with the stunt performer being used in the fights. Some directors they don't want that; they still want the actor. You know,
mm,
um, Christopher Nolan's like that. He wants his actor to do the fights. So I got really lucky that I had Zach as a director who was willing to let the fights be done by the stunt performers. So I hit a perfect storm. I was wearing this suit from Frank Miller's novel.
mm,
And it's like I think it's the first really true Batman suit in a live action movie that is really from the comic books or really from a
mm,
graphic novel. I think the rest of them are pretty much Hollywood suits.
mm.
So I got really lucky. I was really fortunate, and it was to this day my favorite job I've ever had.
And being such a Batman fan, what was it like when you donned the suit for the very first time?
Oh, I was geeking out. I just I kept looking at my silhouette, my shadow, on the ground. I just kept staring at it. I was like, oh my gosh, like Yeah, it was insane. I mean, and that suit, it's tough to be in that suit 10, 12, 14 hours a day, because it's a molded latex rubber suit. So when they mold
Mm.
those things, it's in a position like a neutral position. So anytime you are in that and you leave neutral position, you go to other positions where you're lifting your arms or lifting your legs. It's always it's a it's an effort to change
Mm.
positions in that suit. It's an effort to lift up your leg. It's like when you want to kick, you really can't even chamber your leg because it's just that latex is working against you, and it's about 40 pounds, so it can be a bit uncomfortable after a while. But I'll tell you, I loved every second of it, and it was fine. It was absolutely a labor of love, that movie.
And which version of the suit was the most challenging to actually perform in?
The armored suit was the most challenging
Mm.
because that sat over top, of the standard suit. So you had the standard
Right.
suit, you had the armor over top of it. So that was probably the most challenging. And the nightmare sequence was a little challenging too, because you had again the suit with a bunch of clothing over top of it, a heavy, long leather duster that you had to wear. So that could be kind of challenging too. And that was shot in some really hot weather. I think it was 90 some degrees when we shot that nightmare sequence.
Wow. Wow. So I presume you lost a few pounds during that that
Yeah,
time.
the
Um,
film. I lost about 12 pounds during the whole shooting of the film.
wow, that's nearly a stone. Wow. I mean, at what point does Ben step aside and you step forward? I mean, did Ben want to do any of his own stunts, or was he a case of no? I'll leave it to the professionals.
Ben and I have a really good rapport, and he looks at it like this is your thing, this is what you do, so go ahead and do it. I'm not gonna step in and do dialogue for Ben. Certainly not. And to his credit, he wants the project to be as good as possible, and he knows that this was my thing. I've been doing this a long time, so I've done like 7 films with him, and we get along really great. And it's always a joy to work with him. And I was really glad to see that he looked at things like that he was fine with it. Of course, I'm going to do whatever's best for the project myself. And
Mm,
if that's Ben doing things, then Ben's going to do them, and that's great. In fact, we did a movie called The Accountant,
mm.
and the character doesn't have a mask, so I can't double as much. And he actually did most of those fights. There's only a couple things that I really did in that movie. He did most of those fights, and he did quite well. So it was really cool to see that.
Did you teach him anything, or was it a case of he trained himself?
Yeah, no, we always have people training the actors, and I'll help them with some things, and then there'll be fight choreographers and fight trainers that the stunt coordinator hires that will help him a lot with the stuff. But he
Mm,
he trusts me, so he'll turn to me for a lot of for little questions here and there about things.
mm. And I've got to say, one of my favourite scenes of all time, and you probably get sick and tired of hearing this, but one of my favourite scenes as you, as Batman, is the warehouse when you're going to save Martha Kent. Where you have that big fight, and I just think it's just incredible to watch because you see the true animal side of Batman, and the way he's fighting, and it's a lot grittier than any of the Batmans I've ever seen. I mean, how much preparation did you have to go through to get something like that to look amazing?
Quite a bit, actually. Myself, I had to go through a real strict training regimen, a real strict diet to make sure that I can perform at peak performance. We started rehearsing 2 months before we shot that scene,
Wow.
and it was the choreography is anytime you put choreography to something like that, it's a combination of everybody working together. We had so many
Mm,
moving parts in that scene that we literally had to really know what each other is doing. I spent so much time rehearsing that scene. I mean, I've said it before that we'd spend 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then I would come home and then have a dinner and then go out in my garage and then do the choreography to imaginary opponents myself. Put another hour into it because I wanted to know that fight front and back. I wanted to know not only everything I had to do, you know, put that in my subconscious, but I wanted to know what everybody was doing.
Mm.
And I really believe that to really perform something well, to put in all the little extras, all the little spices that really help make the fight what it is, or the scene what it is, you have to have it in your subconscious. You have to know the choreography without even thinking about it. It
Mm.
has to just go when you go. It's just like, you don't think about brushing your teeth, right? You just get the toothbrush,
Yeah.
the toothpaste, you just do it,
Yeah.
right? It's got to be like that. It's got to be just a reaction. And then there's time. You have time in your movement to really add the little things that spice up a fight. So we took that fight really seriously. I mean, we looked at that fight as the main thing that's going to show Batman's abilities and how we felt that Batman should fight in a live action film. So we were
Mm.
really happy that and I don't get tired of it at all because I really appreciate that people like it. I really do. That makes all of us really happy that worked on the film, that people took to it so much.
Honestly, I could watch it over and over again. I mean, is it an actual, the fighting style of Batman that you do within the film? Is that an actual martial art, or is that a mixture that he uses, or is it just literally combat?
It's a combination of martial arts in
Mm.
there. If I can remember, we did some Western boxing. We did some Jun Fan Kung Fu, which is Bruce Lee stuff. We did some Kali, Filipinos martial art. We did some Jiu-Jitsu. We did some Judo. We did some Muay Thai, kickboxing. I think that pretty much covers it.
Well, there's
Yeah.
enough there definitely to keep Batman busy. And then we go on to, obviously, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, when did you first find out about, you know, it actually happening with HBO Max?
Well, I've known for a while that it was there. That he had something that was almost completed, and I think I found out not too much earlier than the fans found out. Maybe like a month before the fans found out. I think I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I looked at that as being, something I've never seen before in the film industry. I mean, literally, the fans are responsible for that. I mean, they really
Mm-hmm.
are, because through the fans' diligent efforts and just refusing to give up, AT&T took notice to that.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, wow, there's something here, obviously, because these people really want to see this, and I think it's amazing, and I always give credit to the fans for that. I mean, the fans make our industry. If we don't have
Mm.
fans, we don't have an industry, and that's the that's just the truth of the matter. So I thought it was really fantastic and just mind blowing. Like just something unheard of, and I hope it continues, and I hope Zach gets a chance to continue his vision for Justice League, because I
Mm.
think it would be quite successful if he can do it.
I mean, the fans definitely did a great job, and it's a pity that some of the executives in these big Hollywood companies don't listen to fans more often. Because, as you said, we're the people that go to the cinema. We're the people that buy the DVDs, the T-shirts, the merch, and we definitely want to see more of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Do you know what? It's still number one in the UK, which I
Wow.
think's astonishing. It is number one by miles. And I can remember when it came out, I had it all planned. It was a day of my first vaccine for COVID. And I had it all planned out. I had my munchies. I got my girls in bed ready. And an hour into watching the Justice League on TV, I started to have a bad reaction against my COVID jab. And my
Wow.
temperature went over 40, and I'm sat there thinking, I'm going to watch this, and I didn't finish watching it, but it was quite funny. I thought it was very ironic. I spend years supporting the cause, and the day that I want to watch it, I end up getting ill. But I've got to say, I've watched it in the grey version, as Zach calls it, the black and white, and I think it's awesome. I don't know if it's because it's a lack of colour, but it gives you a different experience. But I just think it's fantastic that we explored more of the characters like Ray Fisher and I mean Ray Fisher. I just think's astonishing, and I think what the studios, executives or whatever's happened, because I never believe anything in the press, but I just think it's fantastic to see more of Cyborg. I really, really do. So I'm really, really pleased. Were there any additional shots that you had to do then? So when it was announced, did you have to go back to work to finish a few shots off, or did you have it all in the can?
No, the action was pretty much done. The only thing that I did was I came in for they did about a week of additional photography, and I came in for that week. And Zach asked me, he told me that, hey, Ben and Jared Leto's schedules don't coincide. So when Ben can be here, Jared can't, and when Jared can be here, Ben can't. So he said, would you mind learning Ben's lines for the Joker scene, and then I'll shoot it over your shoulder on Jared's coverage, and you can interact and do Ben's lines. And I said, yeah, sure, absolutely, so I did that, and really was a lot of fun. It was really a cool experience. I mean, I get to act with a Academy Award winning actor. It's pretty cool, so really enjoyed that. And then Ben was able to come in and do some things after that. And so I was there throughout the shooting of it, but no action was done.
And I wanted to also ask as well, because working on Justice League and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, how different was the atmosphere? Because there's all this news about Josh and the controversy around the way he sort of led. I mean, was it night and day in the way of being directed by Josh as Zack?
Well, I've worked with Joss a number of times. I worked with him on Cabin in the Woods. I worked with him on the Buffy show. I think there was something else. Agents of Shield, I think it was. So I know I know him a little bit from working with him, and I know there were some things that went on, during shooting the reshoots. And I can honestly say I wasn't a part of any of that. I didn't witness any of that. I know it did happen because it happened days that I was working, and I had people that were there tell me about it. I just wasn't on that stage when it happened. So I didn't witness it. So as far as their styles, yeah, they're different styles for sure. Their movie making style is different, and I think the way they handle actors is different. But I'm biased because Zach's my favorite director by far. I'm going to work with Zach over anyone. It's just no contest. It's always going to be Zach. I said it before. If I'm 80 years old and he calls me and he wants me to be sitting at a park bench and fall over on my face or something for a shot, I'll do it. I'll be there. It doesn't matter.
Awesome.
So, I'm going to be biased towards Zach, but I think that being said, I think Joss was put into a really, really tough situation. I think a bad situation because, like I said, they're completely different directors. Their visions are completely different. I think if Warner Brothers wanted to hire somebody that was 180 degrees opposite of Zach, in their vision, then they did it. Because but I just think he was put into a tough position. I think some things about it he didn't really handle as well as he could have. Speaking of Joss, but I don't have any ill will towards the guy. I mean, I've always got along with him, but I think there's some things that he probably wishes he would have done a little differently.
And I've got to say it's quite refreshing to hear, like, all the news, like when I'm speaking to people that have worked with Zach on how much they adore him because of his approach to actors and the production team. So that definitely shows on screen as well. So when we talk about the stunt performing world, how competitive is it? between, because is it as competitive as the acting world? In the way of stunts.
I would say it probably is. The process is different.
Mm.
With actors, it's usually, unless you're A-list. If you're an A-list actor, then they just come in and go, "Hey, we want you to do this." But for most actors, it's through the audition process. With stunts, we don't audition as much. We do occasionally, but it's more of your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, it's probably about the same, but it's tough. I mean, the A-list actors, once you get to that point, you have it made. You have a nice life because those guys are always they're getting scripts all the time. They're always getting
Mm.
opportunities. But the actors that aren't as well known, and especially the ones trying to break in, it's a really, really tough life. It's really tough. I have so much respect for any actor out there because
Mm.
you're constantly going to auditions where they're seeing a ton of other people. You know, it's tough to get the work. Um, it's just a really tough life, and I, I think that anybody that does it, should be respected. Because it's rough. I've had when I was looking at getting agents, I had a chance to get a couple pretty good sized, pretty big agents, and they all wanted me to quit stunts. They said, "Well, if you want to commit to acting 100%, you have to quit stunts because you have to be available for our auditions. We can't have you doing stunts on a movie in the UK, and we need you to audition in Hollywood. We just can't.
Mm.
You can't do it." So I never signed with them because I know that you know I make a good living doing stunts, and I wasn't willing to part with that living to pursue acting. And that's the hard thing about it. The people that are willing to part with maybe a nice job where they're making a good amount of money and they're going to part with that to pursue their acting dreams. I have so much respect for those people. It's a very courageous, brave thing to do. I mean, it is because it's, you possibly get stuck doing a job that you really don't want to do, and you're just making money just to survive while you're pursuing your acting. So much respect to those people.
And have you noticed a difference in the stunt performance world? From when you started. I mean, you started, was it in the early 90s?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
From is it the Three Ninjas film?
Yeah.
I can remember watching that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, has it changed much as an industry for stunt performers? Because obviously technology has changed, hasn't it? So has it changed for you as a performer?
It has. It has changed quite a bit. I think um, we've always been really safety conscious in stunts. That is the number one thing to keep performers safe. But I think things have gotten even safer since I broke in. The equipment is better. Some of the equipment used in stunts is better. There's more opportunity because of CG. There's more opportunity to pad things, to throw pads
Mm.
down. Um, because of CG, the real dangerous stuff isn't done as much. The real giant, big high falls aren't done as much because CG is come into play. So you probably have a situation where you probably had people lose some jobs because of CG, but you
Mm.
also have extended careers because of CG. Your body's not getting racked as much because they can CG things. So I'd say it probably has changed quite a bit. And also, I think stunt performers are looked at more with a little more respect by the film community in general. Because I think it was a time when it was looked at like a stunt performer, just you just tell him to do this thing and he does it.
Mm.
Over the years, we've gotten to the point where we design the action, and quite often we shoot, like, there's something called previs where we actually shoot the action how it's going to be done on the day, and it'll give the director an idea how to shoot things himself. And it's gotten very complicated over the years where we put in visual effects. We put in the gunshots and the blood and explosions. So we do as much as we can to give the director an idea of what this is going to look like. And quite often the director will like it so much that he'll shoot it the way the previs is shot. And sometimes they'll even have input on the previs and say, "Hey, shoot it like this and do that and do this," and then we shoot the previews that way, and then the director's like, yeah, we'll shoot it just like this. This is great. I really like it. So, I think in that terms, it's changed quite a bit, over the
Mm.
years as well. And people are seeing now that more and more that, hey, there's some of these stunt performers, they take the directing part of this really seriously, and you're seeing more and more of my fellow stunt performers directing now. Second
Mm.
unit directing and directing the film them, as well. So it's really good to see that. And I think the next step from that is to be able to be um, looked at as nominated for like Academy Awards for an Oscar.
Mm.
I think stunts is the only major part of movie making that isn't represented in a category, and I think that needs to
Mm.
change. Because we are a vital part of movie making.
Yeah, I mean, I was interviewing a gentleman called Jack Gill, who's a stunt coordinator, and he was mentioning that the fact that the Oscars said that you can be a member of the Oscars, but you won't be able to win. And like I
Right.
said to him, it's like being a member of a golf course, but not being able to play a round of golf. So what's
Right.
the point? And I think over the last few years, I think the stunt community has really, been given a bit more visibility because there's been a lot more documentaries made about the wonderful work that stunt people do, and it's just astonishing. I mean, what makes for a good stunt performer, from your opinion?
I think being well rounded is a big one. I think having a natural a talent for it helps, but you can help that along with a lot of hard work. Being around, training around other people that are better than you is really
Mm.
important because you get that's how you improve. If you're always training around people that you're the lead dog, your improvement isn't going to be as great. I think that's important. Being actually, understanding also that movie making is a community effort and being a little more outgoing and willing to meet people and to learn from them, I think is really important. I'm a loner basically, right?
Mm.
So I was the guy that after work I would always just go home when it's a lot of stunt guys and stunt girls and performers are saying, hey, let's go to the bar and grab a beer or something. I would always go, I got to go home. Do my own thing. So I learned late in my career that it just does it promotes camaraderie, and it is important to get out and to do things like that with one another. I think that's important. Then you get to meet people too. Like I said, it's a community effort. I think all those things are really important. I think having a good work ethic with your training, I think that's really important because it is very competitive. It's
Mm.
extremely competitive, and it seems more and more people are getting into stunts, these days
Mm.
through different avenues. Martial arts has always been a big one, at least in my time. Gymnastics, now free running is a big one these days. So you get a
Mhm.
lot of people, a lot of athletes too, are interested in getting into stunts. So it's
Mhm.
super competitive. So you have to have all those things and be committed to them.
Mm. I've got to mention as well. I heard from a little birdie that you have always wanted to play a predator on screen.
Yeah, yeah. I
How
had an
awesome would that be?
opportunity once because I'm not tall enough. Really, I'm 6'3". So I don't know how I got this opportunity. Maybe they wanted to show contrast between a big predator and a smaller predator. I don't really know. But I was called by a stunt coordinator to double a predator in one of the movies. But I was committed to working with Zack already on one of his films. So the timing didn't work out, and I fear that probably was my only opportunity I'll get.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I love that character. I really love that. That's such a cool character. Probably Godzilla and Predator would be my favorite monster characters.
that is awesome. Well, who knows? And do you think we're ever going to see you back in the suit again, helping Ben out?
I don't know. I really don't. Every time I think I'll never be in that suit again, I wind up in it again. Um, so I don't know. I certainly would be up for the challenge, but don't know if it's going to happen. There's more of a chance now since the fans made the Snyder
Mhm.
cut possible. I think there's more of a chance now. Before that, I would have said probably no, but I think there's probably a chance.
No, that is awesome. And also, I wanted to ask: have you kept anything from any of your projects? Because please say you've got a cape somewhere, or your outfit from Man of Steel, because that was awesome. Have you
Yeah,
have you kept anything at all?
yeah. The outfits, the A-list actors will probably get those. I'm sure Russell Crowe has something. I think Ben probably has a bat suit. The stunt performers, no. I was supposed to get a cowl, and I never got it. So, I'm still trying. I'm still
Oh.
trying to get that. I'm in contact with with the work guys. So hopefully someday I'll get that. Every now and then you'll get stuff. Like I got from Army of the Dead, the dog tags that I wore on my character. I got those, and because it's cool, they say my name on it. So it's
That
kind
is
of
so
cool. So
awesome.
I have. Oh, what I also have
Yeah.
the Joker card in the Joker scene in Justice League.
Yeah.
I have that card.
Please say
Yeah,
it's somewhere safe, framed, and
yeah, I have.
you're looking
Yeah,
after it.
I have. Yeah, yeah. The prop master gave it to me after we were done. And I
Oh
was, oh
wow.
man, it's really cool. That's a cool little gift to have.
Oh, that is awesome. And I've got to say, the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, definitely, explains a bit more why he had that card in his gun, and I just thank Zack Snyder so much for going more in depth on all those characters and giving us more back. What's next for you? What are you working on at the moment, or are you having a rest after all your hard work?
Yeah, I did about 3 or 4 projects this year already. I worked. I did a Brad Pitt film earlier that an old buddy of mine directed, Dave Leitch. Worked on some TV. I worked on a Star Wars project. I just came back from Las Vegas. I worked on a commercial with Ben for about a week, and yeah, that's it for now. Just going to see what the year brings me.
Oh wow! And I'm looking forward to that. And the Star Wars project, are you allowed to talk about it or not?
No,
Oh no!
no,
Do you know what? All these NDAs, I don't like them because, you
good.
know, in the UK, there's the filming everywhere. I mean, an hour away from me, they're filming in Indiana Jones, and then
Oh,
down south, they're filming Andor, and it's filming everywhere, but no one can speak about it. So, but do you know what? We should be appreciative that things are happening and things are being made, and you're working obviously very very hard, and you've got a birthday coming up as well, if I'm right in saying, in
oh
July.
wow, yeah.
So happy birthday. I won't say how old, because if information is right, I'm shocked. I thought you was hell of a lot younger, and you are obviously doing something right, taking something that you should be sharing with everyone else. Um, but
Well,
I wish you all the best, Richard. You've been a great guest. I've absolutely loved speaking to you. I'm definitely an envy of my friends now that I've spoken to the Batman and Zeus. So keep safe, look after yourself and the family, and speak soon.
thank you, Brian. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.